Good morning, everybody in year two, and welcome back to another day of writing our poem. Let's look at where we are on our map today. We are going to be focusing today on those negative things that we want to get rid of. And I can guarantee that some of you have come up with some amazing ideas. I'm really proud of some of the ways that you would like to change the world to make it a better place. So let's get on with what we've got to do today. We're going to use another contraction today, and of course, because of the type of poem we're writing, we're using lots of repetition again. We are going to be thinking about negative feelings that we would like to get rid of, and also negative things that we feel, touch, that we want to get rid of. Now, here are where lots of you have come up with some amazing ideas. Let's think of our whole world and how we would like to make it a better place if we were in charge and we could do absolutely anything. So let's think of how our world needs to be improved, or our planet needs to be improved. What things would you remove from the world if you could? Let's remember, we are going to use would not, and how do we make that a contraction, a contracted word? So would not is going to become, that's right, wouldn't. What do we need to get rid of, and what do we need to add? Well, we get rid of the o in not, so it becomes wouldn't, but we need to add something. Hopefully you can remember. What do we need to add? Replace the O with our apostrophe. So would not becomes wouldn't. We're going to be using this word in the lines of our poem. So I'm going to start with my favourite one. We wouldn't have chaos, because you know I do not like chaos. We wouldn't have untidy. We wouldn't have disorder. We wouldn't have mess. We wouldn't have litter. And many of us know that in Chartham at the moment there's a lot of litter around. We wouldn't have waste. And we would not have pollution. Those are just some of my ideas. I know that a lot of you have come up with a lot better ideas that you can use in your poem. If I were in charge of the world, we have our repetition. You wouldn't have, now I've chosen waste. You can choose whichever thing that you would like to remove from the world. And again, if you like to, you can use more than one. Remember, we are setting this out like a poem. So there's just a few of you that do need to note that as it's a poem, each time we start a new idea, we need to start a new line. And at the end of our short line, we need to put some form of punctuation, whether it is a full stop, a capital letter, not a capital letter, sorry, that's an automatic to say after full stop, and whether it's a full stop, an exclamation mark, or a comma. I'm going to use a comma at the end of mine. So you wouldn't have waste, comma. Now I'm going to start a new line. Now this is one which some of you have come up with some fantastic ideas. We now need to look at what negative feelings we would get rid of. Now sometimes we all feel a bit low, don't we? And wouldn't it be lovely if we could just get rid of these things, with these ways that we feel, these emotions. So again with our repetition, first of all, if I were in charge of the world, we wouldn't have hate. We wouldn't have greed. We wouldn't have cruel. We wouldn't have nasty. We wouldn't have mean. We wouldn't have fear. We wouldn't have greed. Oh, I've done greed already. We wouldn't have anger. And we wouldn't have loneliness. I have chosen lonely. Which emotion do you think you would like to get rid of? Now remember, at the end, you need to put either a full stop or a comma or an exclamation. I'm not using an exclamation because it's not one which is impact. Could have put an exclamation actually at the end of the last one, couldn't we? We wouldn't have pollution, and that could be an exclamation because you want to put emphasis on that. But this one, I am going to put a comma. And with our final line for this stanza, we're going to think of what feeling, what touch that we don't like, that we'd like to get rid of. Now, as you can see from the picture, obviously nobody likes to fall over and get hurt. So that would be one thing that we would get rid of. So let's start with our repetition. If I were in charge of the world, we wouldn't have itches. How annoying is itchy skin. We wouldn't have soreness. We wouldn't have stings. It's one particular one I do not like. We wouldn't have hurt. We wouldn't have toothache. We wouldn't have pain. We wouldn't have aching. We wouldn't have fillings. So I have chosen we wouldn't have toothache. Definitely toothache, because that's a very nasty pain, so we do need to look after our teeth. You could even go on to make the moment deeper to say you wouldn't have toothache, you wouldn't even have tooth decay, you wouldn't even have bad teeth. So that's up to you how you'd like to deepen that moment. This time, because it's the end of my stanza, I'm actually going to use a full stop. If I've deepened the moment and said something like, you wouldn't even have tooth decay, that could require an exclamation. You need to choose which punctuation you use at the end of each line. It's just as important as choosing your idea and setting out your poem in the right way. I look forward to reading your poems later on, to reading what ideas you've put into this verse. But for now, have good fun writing your poems, everyone, and I'll see you later. Bye-bye.